My name is Leanne Thill, and I was 25 years old the night my family finally pushed me past the point of return. It started with a single sentence, delivered by my mother in front of everyone, like she was announcing the weather. She set her fork down, folded her hands, and said, "If you want to keep living here, Leanne, you're going to have to start paying rent." Silence, then laughter. My older brother Marcus didn't even look away from his game controller. His girlfriend Camilla giggled from the kitchen like she was watching a comedy show. And my mother, God help me, smirked as if she had just taught me a life lesson I should be grateful for. To them, I wasn't family. I wasn't a daughter or a sister. I was the babysitter, the backup parent, the maid who didn't get paid, the girl who existed to fill in all the gaps in their lives. And I'd played along for years. I cooked meals. I cleaned messes I didn't make. I covered school pickups, doctor appointments, grocery runs, bills no one bothered opening. When Marcus and Camilla had their twins, I stepped in because they were drowning. But helping slowly turned into expectation, expectation into obligation, obligation into blame. If the Wi-Fi glitched, it was suddenly my fault. If the fridge broke, I must have overloaded it. If Camilla forgot a school form, somehow I was the one who should have remembered it. And now I needed to pay rent to keep living in the house where I did more than anyone. I stood there holding a laundry basket I never even got to finish folding. For the first time in years, I didn't defend myself, didn't explain, didn't list all the things I'd done for them. I just walked away, straight down the hall, into my tiny bedroom, and began throwing clothes into my duffel bag without folding a single thing. I yanked chargers from the wall, stuffed my toiletries into a grocery bag, took the grocery and gas cards that were linked to my own bank account, the ones Marcus and Camilla had been swiping like candy without ever asking. No one followed me. Not one person said, "Wait, let's talk." They didn't even look up. They probably thought I was being dramatic, but this wasn't drama. This was done. I walked out the front door, got into my old car, and drove away. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew it had to be anywhere else. The hotel I found wasn't much. Dim hallway, stiff bed, chipped wallpaper. But when I closed the door and the world went quiet, it felt like heaven. No screaming. No, "Leanne, where are my socks?" No kids banging on the door asking for snacks. No slammed cupboards. No guilt. Just silence. Silence I hadn't heard in years. I lay down and felt something unfamiliar spreading through my chest. Relief. Freedom. A kind of peace I didn't know my body was capable of. By morning, my phone was a war zone. "Mom, where did you go? Come home." "Marcus, you serious? We need you today." "Camilla, we have plans tonight. You need to be here with the twins." My sister, who lives out of state and hasn't called in months, sent me a paragraph-long guilt trip about family obligation. I ignored them all. I ordered breakfast to the room, watched a movie on my laptop, and let myself breathe for the first time in 2 years. 5 days later, I found a tiny weekly rental with a kitchenette, just enough room for me and me alone. No toys on the floor, no half-drunk juice boxes, no sticky counters, no yelling. I made a grilled cheese and ate it hot, something unheard of in my house. I was halfway through it when my phone buzzed again. It was Marcus. The credit card got declined. "Did you forget the payment?" I stared at the screen, blinking once, twice, and then I burst out laughing. "Forget? No, Marcus, I didn't forget. I just stopped. Stopped paying. Stopped being their safety net. Stopped being the invisible backbone of that entire house." The credit card declining told me everything I needed to know. They had no idea how much I'd been holding together, no idea what they depended on, no idea what was about to fall apart without me. And this? This was only the beginning. I didn't reply to Marcus's message. Not the first one, not the next 5, not the ones after that. I sat on the edge of my bed, in my own space, and watched the group chat unravel like a slow-motion disaster. "Mom, why is the electricity bill past due?" "Marcus, internet's down. Did you pay it?" "Camilla, I tried using the gas card. Insufficient funds? What's going on?" One after another, panic growing between the lines. For years, Marcus bragged about how independent he and Camilla were, how they figured out adulthood, how they didn't need anyone. Meanwhile, every bill had been sitting on my shoulders. Electricity, me. Wi-Fi, me. Groceries, mostly me. Gas for the family car, me. That little pile of Amazon packages at the door every week, also me. And they never noticed, not once. They thought life had autopilot, that bills magically renewed, that food just appeared in the fridge, That someone, somewhere, was quietly making adult life smooth. That someone was me. But not anymore. I put my phone face down and breathed in the quiet of my kitchenette apartment. The air smelled like melting butter from the grilled cheese I'd made earlier. A soft reminder that for the first time in years, I wasn't cooking for 4 ungrateful adults and 2 screaming children. I made a cup of tea and sat on the floor beside the window. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Control. True, terrifying, exhilarating control. My boyfriend Aaron called that afternoon. The soft comfort of his voice felt like warmth on skin after too many cold days. "You sound lighter," he said. I could hear him smiling through the phone. "When you left that house, it was like your voice changed." "It's weird," I admitted. "I don't feel guilty yet." "That's not weird, Leanne. That's healing." I didn't mention Marcus's frantic messages, or the fact that Camilla had already tried calling 5 times, or how my mother had switched from angry to sugary sweet in under 30 minutes. Aaron didn't need to worry. Besides, he had his own stress lately, mostly from his ex-girlfriend, Brooklyn, who'd been sniffing around his social media like a stray cat looking for scraps. She always acted like she had secret knowledge about him, like she was waiting for some opening. "Everything okay with Brooklyn?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. He sighed. "She's doing that thing again, liking my old photos, commenting vague crap. But I blocked her. Don't think about it." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I tried not to think about the timing, about how she always popped up when my life got shaky. Brooklyn fed off chaos like it was sugar. I tucked it away with everything else. By day 7, the collapse at home went from inconvenient to catastrophic. They lost internet. Then the fridge got warm because the electricity almost shut off. Marcus called Mom irresponsible. Mom yelled at Camilla about budgeting. Camilla screamed back about that ungrateful girl leaving us here. Group chat messages. "Camilla, we can't live like this." Marcus, "Leanne, seriously, what is your problem?" "Mom, you need to come home and fix this. We can talk about rent later." Rent, rent. Everything always came back to rent because they couldn't say the real word. Dependence. They depended on me for everything, and the truth was finally cracking through all their denial. Still, I stayed silent. The funniest and saddest part? Most of these accounts weren't in my name because I wanted control. It was because no one else could open them. Marcus had terrible credit. Mom refused to handle online billing. Camilla didn't understand how websites worked, so I stepped up. Like always. But the stepping up was over. On the 7th night, my mom left a voicemail. Her tone was soft, low, almost trembling. "Leanne, sweetheart, I think we all just overreacted a bit. Why don't you come over for dinner? We miss you." No apology, no admission, just a lure wrapped in fake tenderness. I almost laughed, but I said sure. Not because I wanted reconciliation, but because I wanted to see just how bad things had gotten. The moment I stepped into the house for family dinner, the shift hit me like cold air. The home was weirdly quiet. No background music, no smells of a decent meal. The lighting felt dimmer, like they'd forgotten how to keep things alive without me. A broken toy lay on the floor. It stayed there. No one even glanced at it. Camilla opened the door with a smile too tight to be real. Marcus hovered behind her, pale and jittery. "Hey, Leanne," he said, voice strained. Mom sat at the table with her phone face down, something she never did, as if hiding notifications from me. Dinner was sad. Store-brand soda. Dry chicken, no seasoning, no warmth. We made small talk because they didn't want to get to the point. But eventually Mom did. She cleared her throat, put on that maternal tone she used when she wanted to guilt trip without sounding like it. "So, Leanne, we've been talking, and we think your leaving made a point." She paused. "But you also need to understand something. Here it comes. You live here. You should contribute. That's just how families work." Then the avalanche started. "You shouldn't have abandoned the twins. You made things harder on all of us. You owe us for everything we've done for you. Things were stable when you lived here." 2 hours. 2 hours of them painting themselves as victims. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just nodded, excused myself to the bathroom, and left them a disaster they wouldn't forget. No details needed. The chaos spoke for itself. 30 minutes later, I was in my car, driving away. My phone buzzed nonstop, voicemails filled with outrage. They learned one thing that night. I wasn't their built-in scapegoat anymore. I wasn't planning to respond ever, because something changed in me. Their world was cracking. And for the first time, I wasn't the one rushing to fix it. 2 weeks passed. 2 glorious, silent, peaceful weeks where the only chaos in my life came from choosing whether I wanted tea or coffee in the morning. Meanwhile, my family's world was falling apart like wet cardboard. I watched from a safe distance as their messages transformed from guilt to anger to bargaining to desperate pleading. It reminded me of the stages of grief. They weren't grieving my absence. They were grieving the loss of a servant they didn't realize they depended on. Then one afternoon, while I was unpacking a set of new dishes I'd bought for myself, things I never would have splurged on before, I got a message from Mom. Mom, let's have dinner tonight. No expectations. Just family. We want to apologize. I stared at the screen. Mom had never apologized for anything in her life. She would go to her grave insisting she was right, even if everyone watched her be wrong on camera. So this wasn't real. But I said yes, not because I believed her, but because I wanted to see how far they'd go pretending. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked staged, like they were playing Happy Family for an audience. The porch light glowed warmly. The windows were wiped clean. The curtains were drawn neatly, as if straight lines could cover the mess underneath. I stepped inside. The counters were unnaturally shiny. The living room smelled faintly of air freshener. Too much air freshener. A candle burned on the table, masking a stink underneath, the kind that comes from dishes left too long in the sink. Camilla gave me an awkward half hug, the kind you give a coworker you don't like but need something from. Marcus poured me a drink like he was trying out for best host of the year. Even Mom smiled with a softness that felt practiced, like she'd rehearsed it in the mirror. I kept my face neutral, let them perform. We sat down at the table. The meal was simple, store-brand pasta with sauce. They definitely cut corners. They were trying to stretch groceries without me. No one said the word sorry. Not once. Instead, they went straight into pity mode. Things had been hard. Money was tight. The twins were confused. The car insurance had accidentally lapsed. Bills got mixed up. My mother sighed dramatically. We just want to reset things, Leanne. Go back to how things were. Camilla added softly, the twins miss you. Marcus looked away before saying, maybe, you could help out with some bills, just until we're stable again. There it was, the pitch. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted free labor, financial relief, someone to handle the things they never bothered learning. And in that moment, something clicked. They weren't asking me to come home. They were asking me to sacrifice myself again, to disappear into the background, to hand my life back to them. I smiled, nodded, pretended to consider it. Then I excused myself to the bathroom. Their bathroom. I didn't sabotage anything wildly dramatic this time. Just small things, little pieces of slow decay, a clogged drain, a dripping faucet turned just enough to annoy, sticky jam smeared under the towel rack. Nothing destructive, just symbolic. I walked out, thanked them for dinner, and left. I didn't look back. 40 minutes later, the messages started. Marcus, are you serious? What did you do? Camilla, that's disgusting. What's wrong with you? Mom, how dare you? We invited you in good faith. Good faith. Interesting choice of words from someone who guilt-tripped me since I was 12. But I didn't respond. I had just finished signing the lease for my new apartment. A real one. A safe one. A place with windows and sunlight and enough space to breathe. My keys jingled in my hand as I stepped into the empty living room. My living room. For the first time in my entire life, I felt what it meant to belong somewhere. No chores, no yelling, no responsibility for children I didn't have. No bills secretly tied to my bank account. Just me. Just Leanne. I unpacked one box, then another. I opened my laptop to check emails and nearly cried when I saw the subject line. Congratulations on your promotion. My chest tightened, not from fear, from pride. Real earned pride. My boyfriend, Aaron, called that night when I sent him a photo of my new keys. Look at you, he laughed. First place, first step toward a real life. I swallowed the thickness in my throat. Yeah. A real life. He grew quiet for a moment. My ex messaged me today, Brooklyn. My stomach tensed. She always showed up at the worst times, like mold in the corners of life. What did she want? I asked. She sent one of those weird cryptic messages, something like, hope Leanne knows what she's getting into. I froze. Brooklyn didn't know anything about my family situation, but she had a talent for sniffing out insecurities. Aaron sighed. I blocked her again. She's just trying to stir problems. I'm not worried, I lied, but I was. Not about Aaron. About the possibility that people like Brooklyn and my family had something in common. They didn't like when they lost control of someone. I curled up in bed that night, my bed, and scrolled one last time through my family's group chat. They were unraveling faster now. But then a new message popped up. A video, sent by Marcus. He filmed himself prying up the floorboards of my old bedroom, the hiding spot I thought no one knew about, and pulling out a metal box. My metal box. Full of IDs, old tax files, client lists, and years of personal information. Information he shouldn't have. Marcus, maybe come talk to us. Family shares everything, right? A threat. A challenge. A line in the sand. I didn't panic. I didn't answer. Because if my family thought this was the moment I'd come crawling back, they were wrong. They had no idea what kind of storm they had just invited into their lives. For a moment, I simply stared at the video Marcus sent. His hands, shaking, dirty with dust, were prying up the floorboards in my old room, the place where I used to hide the few things in my life that actually belonged to me. Then he lifted the metal box. My locked metal box. A chill crawled up my spine. It wasn't fear. It was rage. Slow, sharp, and steady, like a knife being drawn from a sheath. They hadn't just crossed a line. They burned it, stomped on it, and used the ashes to write "come back" across my life. But the thing my family never realized was this. I don't break, I adapt. I survive. I protect myself. So I made one call, not to my family, to my friend Gideon, a cybersecurity analyst I went to college with. Within minutes, we were in a video chat. He squinted at the screen. So they stole your safe? Not stole. Found it and tried to use it against me. Gideon shook his head. That's worse. All right, send me your old login details. Let's nuke everything. We wiped the drive remotely. Every file, every document, every scrap of sensitive data, gone, turned into digital dust. I watched the progress bar fill from left to right until the screen flashed. Data fully corrupted. I sat back. Breath steady, hands calm. Thank you, Gideon. Hey, he said, leaning toward the camera. You've saved my life more times than I can count. Least I can do is return the favor. And Leanne? Yeah? Do not under any circumstances go back to them. I wasn't planning to. The next morning, a cascade of new notifications woke me. Failed login attempts. Multiple IP addresses flagged. Password reset requests. At first, I thought it was random. Then I checked the timestamps. Every attempt came from my family's address. Marcus had tried accessing my email, my cloud storage, my work login, all under the assumption that I would be stupid enough to leave passwords lying around unchanged. My company noticed too. Within hours, HR emailed me. We detected suspicious login attempts from an unrecognized location. Our security team has blocked the IP. Do you want to file an incident report? The message came with an unexpected line. We are prepared to offer legal assistance if needed. That's when it hit me. I finally had support. Real support. Not the kind where someone says, if you need anything, let me know, and then never shows up. Not the fake comfort of family guilt trips. Actual backup. People who valued me not because of what I could do for them, but because I existed. It was almost overwhelming. Just when I thought the situation would plateau, something new dropped. Loud, public, and messy. A Facebook post from Camilla, her face red and blotchy as she cried into the front-facing camera. The caption, "Please pray for our family. My sister-in-law abandoned us. She left us with nothing. She won't even help her nieces and nephews." She added a photo, one of me holding Ethan, the older twin, back when he was still chubby-cheeked and obsessed with dinosaurs. The comments exploded. "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry." Some people are heartless. Blood is blood. She should be ashamed. For 2 hours, people who never met me turned me into a villain. Then something unexpected happened. My coworkers, my friends from high school, even people I'd only met briefly. All of them flooded the comments with receipts. Screenshots of Venmo payments from me to my mother, messages of Camila calling me free daycare, proof that I'd been paying bills in a house I didn't own, photos of grocery carts full of items only I ever bought. The tide turned instantly. Comments flipped from sympathy to disbelief. Then the questions rolled in. Why did you expect her to raise your kids? Why wasn't Marcus providing for his own family? Why were the bills in her name? This isn't abandonment. This is escape. Camilla deleted the post within an hour, but the damage was done. She tried to expose me. Instead, she exposed all of them. Things escalated again when I received a letter from the DMV. Unpaid tickets, dozens, for a car I no longer owned. My old car, the one I gave Marcus when mine broke beyond repair. He never transferred the title. Of course he didn't. He assumed I'd take care of everything, like always. I marched straight into the DMV with the title transfer form he never filed and the proof of sale. The car was towed from his driveway that afternoon. Marcus texted me instantly. You are insane. Where is my car? I wrote back, You mean my car? Good luck getting it back. He showed up at my apartment 30 minutes later, pounding on the door, screaming loud enough that my neighbors cracked their doors open. Come out, Leanne. You owe us. You owe the family. I didn't open the door. I called the police. 2 officers arrived, calm but firm. I showed them the texts, the attempted break-in, the history of harassment. Do you want to press charges, Ms. Thill? One asked. For a moment, I considered it. I imagined Marcus being taken away in handcuffs, imagined the stunned look on my mother's face, imagined the silence that would finally follow. But I exhaled. No, just put it on record. Marcus left humiliated, shouting curses down the stairwell. 3 hours later, a new number lit up my phone. Voicemail from Mom. You called the cops on your own brother? Your own blood? What kind of daughter are you, Leanne? I deleted the message and blocked her permanently. The moment my thumb tapped block caller, something deep inside me cracked open like a window. I felt sunlight again. Real sunlight. A week later, more news trickled in. Someone filmed Camilla at her job, screaming at a customer. The video hit social media, went viral. She was fired the next day. My mother called, from yet another new number, voice trembling, asking for help. We're having a hard time, Leanne. This family is falling apart. Don't you care? I hung up before she could finish. Because the truth was simple. I had cared, for years, too much. Now? I cared about myself. Something they never taught me to do. Letters started appearing at my door. Handwritten ones. Guilt-soaked paragraphs full of blame and reminders about the twins missing their Auntie Leanne. I didn't open a single one. The trash got them before I did. Meanwhile, my life began blooming. New furniture, new routines, late-night walks, quiet mornings, pottery classes, weekend trips with Aaron, a freedom I had never known. And every night I came home to silence. Not empty silence, earned silence. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't waiting for someone to yell my name from across the house. The weight of obligation had finally slipped off my shoulders, and I could breathe. For the first time in my life, I could breathe without permission. But the story wasn't over, because in the shadows, quiet, calculated, convenient, someone else was watching. Aaron's ex-girlfriend, Brooklyn. And she wasn't done causing trouble. The weeks that followed were the kind of quiet people write poems about. Not the hollow kind of quiet, the one that used to settle over the house after my family blew up and stomped out. No. This was the soft kind. The healing kind. The kind that makes you realize how much noise you'd been living in. Every morning, sunlight filled my new apartment. My apartment. The place where no one shouted my name, no one demanded I clean up their mess, no one shoved responsibilities into my hands. I'd wake up, stretch, and choose how to spend my day, something I hadn't done in years. I rearranged furniture just because I wanted to, took long showers without someone banging on the door, cooked meals for the taste, not to feed 6 ungrateful mouths, watched shows I actually liked, sat in silence without bracing for the next explosion. Freedom was a flavor I couldn't believe I'd lived without. My family didn't go silent. They adapted, just not in a healthy way. First came the guilt trip letters on my doormat. Stacks of envelopes. Big ones, small ones. Ones written with glitter pens from the twins. Ones from Mom. Ones from Marcus that were short, scrawled, angry. I didn't open a single one. Even the ones that started with, "Please, we're struggling. The kids need you." All of them ended up in the same place, the trash chute. I learned something important. You don't owe people access to your heart just because they used to have keys to your house. And they certainly didn't have keys to my life. Not anymore. Aaron, my boyfriend, became my anchor through all of it. He didn't push me, didn't rush me, just existed beside me in a way that felt safe. One evening, we were sitting on a park bench, watching the fountain lights ripple over the water. I was telling him about my first night waking up without nightmares about my family banging on my door. He squeezed my hand gently. "I hope you know," he said, voice low. "I'm proud of you for choosing yourself." I swallowed hard. His words were like warm hands around my heart. "It's weird," I said quietly. "It feels like I've been underwater my whole life, and I only just broke the surface." "Maybe that's because," he murmured, "you were never allowed to breathe in that house." I leaned into him, letting myself feel the truth of it. But like clockwork, as if the universe refused to let peace sit too long, my phone buzzed. A notification. From a name I'd blocked 3 times already. Brooklyn, Aaron's ex-girlfriend. Except this time she used a new account. Just like my mother kept using new numbers. The message preview chilled me, not because it scared me, but because of how familiar the tactic felt. Just want you to know, people aren't always who you think they are. Manipulation always has a smell. My family reeked of it. So did she. I opened the message. It was long, dramatic, written like a monologue for a soap opera. She hinted, never stated, that Aaron wasn't trustworthy. Claimed he used to lie about little things. Said she still felt they had unfinished business. And then ended with, "Just be careful. A woman like you deserves better than surprises." I stared at the message for a moment. Not because I believed a word of it, but because I could suddenly see the pattern across my entire life. People who want control always come disguised as people who care. My mother, Marcus, Camilla, even strangers online who swallowed Camilla's fake sob story without question. And now Brooklyn, trying to break something because she couldn't stand that she no longer owned it. I didn't reply. I didn't confront Aaron with it. I didn't feed the fire. I simply hit delete, then block. And without hesitation, I whispered out loud, "No more. No more manipulation. No more tactics. No more people inventing emergencies to pull me back into their chaos." My life was finally mine. I started therapy, bought plants, learned to bake, went on weekend trips with Aaron to places I thought I'd never see. And one night, after coming back from a simple dinner date, I walked into my apartment, closed the door behind me, and realized something. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It wasn't scary. It was earned. Hard-earned. My family, still drowning in their own choices. Mom blaming Marcus, Marcus blaming Camilla, Camilla blaming everyone except herself. But their collapse wasn't my failure. It was simply the natural consequence of a life built on using someone. A life built on me. And without me, it finally crumbled. I didn't fall apart when I left. They did. And that told me everything I needed to know. I'm 25 years old, debt-free, living in a place I love, with someone who respects me, and a future that finally feels like mine. They called me the babysitter, the helper, the background girl. But the truth is simple. I wasn't the babysitter, I was the backbone. And when I walked away, their entire structure collapsed, exactly the way it needed to.